I'm just going to do.
Good evening and very late evening for some of you, early evening for others of you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. We are going to start promptly, and I'm going to be letting in, we have about half of the group that's here tonight. So I just want to first start off by thanking all of you for joining this evening's workshop. We have quite a variety of people that are going to be in this session tonight. There's a range of people's familiarity with this type of work. And some people, I believe, haven't done anything energetic or intuitive before. So I just want to first start by saying that is okay. We are going to do a variety of things, but ultimately, this entire workshop and all of the information is designed to be as simple as possible. We can amplify it using our intuitive abilities, or we can just keep it super simple, linear through our intention. And I'll explain a little bit more what that means as we get started. I believe this is set for everybody to be on mute, but I'm seeing that every once in a while people are not muted. So I'll do my best to keep things muted. If anyone has a question, you're more than welcome to raise your digital hand. So, and I believe you can do that in the reactions, which is on the bottom right-hand side. Everyone should have received a PDF for tonight. You don't need to refer to it. I like to basically give all the notes ahead of time so that people can just listen and absorb. But I tend to give even more information that may be in the notes. So there may be a few things that you might want to add, and you'll get a copy of this recording too. So we'll just give it a couple more minutes. Also in the email that I sent, there was a PDF on general space clearing. So the space clearing material are kind of two sets of techniques for anyone who wants to clear the energy of the home. Some of the suggestions are basic topical suggestions like smudging, and then another layer of suggestions is how to connect with higher frequency benevolent energies to help clear your space. So that space clearing is essentially how we got to this moment and some new awarenesses that I have. So in the space clearing that I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail about this evening in terms of the kind of traditional methods, but I will give you just like a super brief high level overview. Conceptually, the idea is that every single space has a guardian, and this guardian is a higher dimensional being of light. When I go and clear a space, I connect to the guardian of the space, and then I ask the guardian to show me where there are energetic disturbances. And it is pretty unbelievable the things that will be revealed. Sometimes the things are wild and wonderful and a little bit more eccentric, but other times they're really very human moments. And one like super brief antidote related to that was as I was beginning my career, I was doing what's called a remote view of a property in the United Kingdom. And what I was shown was that there, in one of the walls, there was energy that had a lot of charge to it. The energy was intentionally placed there, and it felt that over time it had become almost like melancholy. And then I was told I needed to go in and do some residual clearing of the fireplace, because something had recently been burned in the fireplace and there needed to be a little bit extra transmutation of that. So when I clear a space, I either email or I have a brief conversation with the homeowner. And in doing so, this was the first time that I had met the person. They validated that the night before I had done the clearing, they had gone and burned a lot of letters that were exchanges between them and their partner who had passed. And for whatever reason, those letters were actually adding to the grief of this person. So she wanted to kind of clear the energy and transmute the energy. And that item that I was shown in the wall was a time capsule that the couple had created when they built the house. And so I was transmuting the energy of grief to make it more high vibrational, because the homeowner at the time was trying to sell the property and she was unable to, and she knew that she must be doing something to block the sale because of all of the emotions tied to the house. So I needed to kind of clear and neutralize the elements so that the future homeowners could come in and the guardian of the home could connect to the future owners. So one of the PDFs gives you all of the details on the how to do that if you're interested. So we have about 10 more people, although I believe there's several who plan on listening to the recording. So I'm going to officially begin and start by introducing myself to anyone whom I haven't had the pleasure of meeting in person or I haven't seen in a long time. Once again, thank you all for joining tonight. I am formerly trained at the College of Psychic Studies in London and the School of Intuition and Healing in London. My training is as an intuitive. At the college, I was trained on how to connect to guides and guardians, and that is essentially any and all high frequency energies. There are all different degrees and frequencies of energy, so that my training allows me to essentially dial up or dial down. So there are different levels of frequencies. There's the intuitive or psychic, and every single person on the planet is intuitive, hence psychic. We just don't necessarily utilize those abilities. Then the second level is working mediumistically. We essentially raise our frequency, and as we raise our frequency, our loved ones can lower their frequency and we meet and communicate in the middle. And then we can raise the frequency even higher, working with higher dimensional beings of light. So these are energies such as angelic energies or ascended masters. From the college, I went on to become a consultant and instructor at the college. And almost 4 years ago, or actually I think it is 4 years ago, I moved back to the United States, where I have a practice in Salem, Massachusetts. And I've been teaching since I've returned in small groups, primarily before the pandemic in person. And then over the pandemic, I had always worked virtually, but I started doing more virtual classes. And over the last 2 years, I was concentrating on year-long classes. So this is the first of a workshop that I've offered in almost 3 years. And this model of the workshop is what I'm going to be moving forward, because as an intuitive, I've been feeling over the past few years all different types of different energies that are available to us, and different invitations for the moment. So the model that I'm going to be moving forward to is, as I'm receiving insights and as I'm prompted to bring in some information to help with those insights or instructions, whether they're spiritual or energetic, I'll be making those available. And you can follow that information either on my newsletter or on my Patreon account. So welcome, everybody. And even though this isn't interactive, please feel like you can chat, feel like you can ask questions. And if anything is confusing, let me know. As I mentioned, for those who joined originally, that this class ultimately is designed to be super simple for anyone who doesn't have any prior experience working intuitively. But since we're all here and I'm here and we can work together, I'm going to give us guidance for how to work intuitively. And if you're not able to connect, there's no problem, because we have the non-intuitive mode of manifesting that with which we're intending to do. So tonight's workshop was inspired by some awarenesses that I've had over the last several weeks. And just to give everyone like a little bit of a background on that, as I mentioned, I clear spaces. I do what's called a remote view. And I also go in person, but remote view is as effective as in person. So when a person does a remote view, what they're essentially doing is what's called astral projection. And the way that that is done, I'll get a floor plan and an address. I'll open up my intuitive abilities through meditation, and then I'll use my imagination as the mechanism, but I will imagine / astral project that I am standing at the front door of whatever home or office I'm going to be clearing. And when I stand at the front door, I then ask to speak to the guardian of the home. And then a spiritual energy will emerge in the front door. And at that time, I'll do some security questions to determine that that is in fact the guardian. And there is a law of 3, and essentially the truth must be universally revealed if a question is asked 3 times. So I'll ask, are you the guardian? And I'll ask 3 times. And if I get a no, or I sense that there's a no, then I'll ask for the most appropriate being of light to come and remove the energy that's trying to connect with me. If I get a yes, what I then do is another layer of security questions. So whenever I'm first connecting to an energy for the first time, I want to screen the energy. And the question that I ask is, are you light at your core? Are you light at your core? Are you light at your core? So about 5 weeks or so, I had a day when I was clearing several buildings in a couple of different states and some properties as far reaching globally as Kashmir. The first property I went to was a Victorian building converted into condos, and I was tasked with clearing the energy of the 3 condos. So the condo building itself would have had an overall guardian, and then each unit, each home would have had their own guardian. And this is when I encountered that when I went to meet the guardian came. But when I went to ask the security questions, I was essentially given a yes, but. Yes, I am the guardian. Yes, I am light at the core. And essentially, I'm no longer qualified for this job. So I thought, well, that's really interesting. I've never experienced that before. But I understand conceptually because of the work that I do as a teacher of metaphysics that sometimes the individual outgrows their guardians. So the idea is that, and I will say, especially for those who haven't had a class with me or haven't worked with me in a while or possibly ever, my disclaimer is I'm very eccentric. I have very eccentric beliefs. Everything that I believe is based on my experience, but I've had a lot of eccentric experiences. So use your discernment. If anything that I'm saying does not resonate with you, then just file that away. But what I have come to believe is that on a soul level, before we incarnate in the human form, we go with an angel known as Metatron, who we will be working with tonight, at least by name. We go with Metatron and we talk high level conceptual about what we want to learn in this lifetime as a human. So sometimes what happens is on a soul level with Metatron, we discuss what we want to experience. It's noted in our Akashic records. Then we're born, we incarnate, and along the path, we evolve. We evolve beyond our pre-incarnation expectations. And so sometimes the guardians that come in with us are not qualified for the job because we've leveled up. We've decided that we want to learn more spiritually, energetically, or we want to contribute more to the world or to the earth. And then what happens is we go through a period of time when we are without our guides and guardians, so that new, higher frequency, higher dimensional guides and guardians are able to come in and then be our teachers, essentially. So when I was at that building in Rhode Island, I didn't ask a lot of questions about why. I just assumed that it was this process, that for whatever reason, the guides were no longer qualified for this job, and there could be a lot of energetic reasons, which I'll touch upon a little bit. So when it comes to our own guides, just like a super high level explanation and description, everyone incarnates with 3 guides, and many of us have many more than 3 guides, and some of us have even more. We have what's called a collective. So the idea is that when we incarnate, we come in with a guardian angel. Some spiritual teachers believe that we incarnate with 2 guardian angels. I personally perceive that the reason why some people perceive it as 2 guardian angels is because the angels embody the divine feminine and the divine masculine, but it can be balanced. So angels do not have a gender, but they have these frequencies, and some are more masculine or more feminine. And then we have what's called a gatekeeper or a doorkeeper, which is like your spiritual energetic bodyguard. And that energy is an energy that protects you. And really, it's that like gut feeling that's saying, hey, don't go down this road, or why don't you stay in tonight, or whatever the guidance may be, that keeps you in spaces maybe that are spiritually, energetically, or otherwise safe. And then we have a spiritual guide, which is like the voice in our head. So we're constantly being communicated with, but because the voice is our own voice, because it's a thought in our head, we sometimes don't understand that that's actually a higher frequency guardian that's helping explain or guide us towards something. So if those energies, if we outgrow them because of whatever is happening in our lives, or what we decide our purpose is, we can go through a period without any guide. And that period is known as the dark night of the soul. And that period of time can be, they say it's usually 3 to 4 months. It can be a longer period of time, 6 months or so. So initially in Rhode Island, I thought, for whatever reason, the space has outgrown the guides. And then I was asked, because what I do, and for anyone who works intuitively, or anyone who's interested in working intuitively, because again, everybody has these gifts, these untapped. One of the things that I always do, and was always a big difference between myself and my peers when I was in training, was I constantly ask questions. And if you've ever had a reading with me, I might sometimes joke about being schizophrenic, because a lot of times, not that that's a joke, but a lot of times I'm having multiple conversations at the same time, because I'll be having a conversation, relaying information, and then I'm having a sidebar conversation where I'm asking more questions. So when it comes to working with the guardian, what I do is I just ask questions. What am I supposed to do? How do I do that? And I follow whatever the guidance is. So it's not necessarily that I have this, tremendous breadth of knowledge. It's more that I ask questions. And because I'm a clear channel, because I meditate, because I have excellent energetic hygiene, I'm able to receive the messages. And in the PDF, I gave like a little bit of a description on how does this work, just so that anyone who's curious can understand how messages come conceptually. So I was told how to retire the guardian, and then I was told how to bring in the new guardian. And instead of like in the human form, that process can be months, this was instantaneous. So I followed the instructions, and then I clairvoyantly, so clairvoyance is clear seeing, I then saw the new guardian emerge. And then I worked with the new guardian to determine what needed to be done energetically for the space. Fast forward to my next floor plan. I go to the door, I ask to see the guardian, and lo and behold, it's the same thing. I'm told I have to, this is the guardian, this guardian's light at their core, but I need to retire the guardian. I finish that, then I go to the third one, and this time, this one is in Kashmir. So it's not something that's unique to the United States. And lo and behold, it's the exact same thing. So now that this has happened 3 times, I start asking a lot more questions. What is going on? What is going on? So obviously, these last few years are epic. If you know me, I have lots of theories and insights about what has been going on, but to kind of begin with what is going on, I'm going to give you my perspective. And again, this is where your discernment comes in. And this is a high level, positive, spiritual insight perspective. I'm not going to be divining anything right now. But my perspective is that the entire planet is starting to raise its frequency. And as you raise your frequency, what happens is you become more aware and more sensitive. Across every single culture and the majority of religions, this time on the planet has actually been prophesized, which I think is really interesting. Although I am spiritual, I'm not necessarily religious. I believe in the value of many religions, and so I don't prescriptively look at any particular prophecies, but generally I'm aware that many cultures have talked about this time that we're living in right now. In the New Age community refers to this as a time of ascension. So the ascension process is literally the humans and the sentient beings of the earth raising frequency as the earth frequency raises. And the New Age community calls this period of time the age of Aquarius. So that age of Aquarius is literally an astrological period of time that has to do with the alignment of the planets. In addition to that, some spiritual communities recognize the time that we're living in right now as the second golden dawn. The first golden dawn occurred during the time that some people might think is folklore or fiction, but during the times of some golden civilizations, golden communities, known as Lemuria, known as Atlantis, as two examples. So if we take Atlantis as an example, and again, this is going to be like a high level description. If it resonates, if it doesn't resonate, whatever it is. Thank you, Sarah. I know it's not a coincidence that we're here in this class. So I'm sure many people have past life resonance with this material already. So this is going to be more of remembering instead of learning. So if we use Atlantis as an example, and the reason why I'm going to use Atlantis is because my first past life recall was during the time of Atlantis. And during the time of Atlantis, I was a prophet who didn't survive, them the breaks. I was persecuted for the information that I brought forward. So some people never learn, here I am again. So in this time of Atlantis, the high concept of this time, which I think is really beautiful, is that essentially every single person who was part of the community of the civilization had a role in the community and the thriving of the community. There was no hierarchy. The way that I like to describe it is every single person was a note in a symphony of sound. So all of these beautiful notes came together and every single person contributed to the community. This idea of Atlantis was that as a community, everybody would come together and they would have these healing symphonies or clinics. And in one of the squares, there's a very talented sound practitioner named Eileen O'Brien, who is an amazing sound healer. So that work was very much what would happen during the time of Atlantis, that people would come together as a group and there would be toning or attuning to frequency. And there would be a high priest or priestess who would lead whatever the spiritual teachings or the awareness or the healing was. And what they did was they would use crystal skulls, and they would essentially channel. So crystals, plants, and animals are all sentient beings. All sentient beings have a consciousness. So we can attune to the consciousness of a crystal and get information. Crystals are record keepers because they have witnessed a lot more of the time on earth than we have. So when we tune into the energy, we can draw out a lot of really valuable information in addition to receiving their healing frequencies and properties. So this time of Atlantis was a thriving, enlightened, beautiful time. Everybody's extrasensory perceptions were switched on. So everyone was intuitive. There was a lot of telepathic communication, so mind to mind communication. And people lived in harmony. There was no hierarchy. Everyone understood that together they created something very beautiful and that everyone's contribution was necessary. But then came a little something known the ego. So the concept of the ego was the fall of that civilization. So when we hear it more like a folklore story, the idea is that the civilization became hedonistic, and channels have said that essentially the ego spread like a virus across the civilization. And with that, people started to have a sense of either greater importance or wanting more notoriety for whatever their role was, or starting to think that some were better than others. And then it devolved even more into the treatment of sentient beings and each other. So it's believed that some of the civilization left and then became what eventually became ancient Egypt, and then the idea was that the rest of the civilization, the hedonistic, the gods decided to, because of the way that the civilization was devolving so rapidly and dramatically, that there was a great wave that then ended that time. And we entered a very dark period in the history of civilization. During this time, and over time, I personally believe that all of our intuitive gifts, all of the information that we know energetically or spiritually, that ended up being forgotten or suppressed. And for some, it might have been trauma related. And then if we fast forward to modern times, most of us don't even believe in anything metaphysical or paranormal, or we think it's something that's scary, when the reality is it's completely natural. It's a part of who all of us naturally are. So in the spiritual community, people believe that this period of time is the second golden age, and astrologers and the like have mapped it. So it's been mapped and predicted to have begun in 2012. And this period of time, this transition lasts until 2032. So 10 years from now, it is believed that we will have golden cities and we will be in a golden age, that more and more of us are going to be learning how to reclaim everything that we already are, to remember the things that on a soul level we already know, and to start to raise the frequency of our collective consciousness. So all of you are absolutely early adopters. This might be new information for you, or you might have been on this path for a number of years already. I'm a person who likes to know why and how. I don't just go with that sounds good, I'm going to believe that. So I've been trying to understand, well, what's the mechanism for this golden age? And what I've come to learn is that essentially the mechanism is light. It is literally light. So light and this idea of enlightenment, it is the body's ability to hold light. So our concept of light is binary to our perception of light. And the reality is that there is much more light than the human eye can see and detect. Our clairvoyant or intuitive mind can see more light than our physical eyes can see. So if we see light in our imagination, that is a form of light. What I've learned is that that is not just imaginary light, it's literal light. It's known as astral light. So if you have a spiritual practice, a lot of times the cleansing of energy begins with imagining that you're bathing in light. If you're able to have a visual imagination, then you're able to bring in astral light into your body, into your light body. And the more light that your light body comes in contact with, the more your intuition starts to go back online. So the reason why 2012 is when the clock starts ticking is because the Earth is in alignment with the Milky Way. And the Milky Way has essentially roughly 2,000 years of darkness and 200 years of light. So in 2012, we started to enter alignment with the light side of the Milky Way, which means that we have more photonic light coming to Earth than ever before. And then as we get to 2020, now we start to have alignment with the planets that are allowing even more light to anchor in. So New Age communities talk about people having spiritual awakenings from 2012 forward. And the idea is that when we get to 2032, everybody is going to be acknowledging their own intuition, their own knowledge. So with all of that light coming to the planet, it is going to also disrupt. And it's going to disrupt energies on the planet, densities on the planet. It's also going to be revealing things that are delusions or illusions, because light clears away all sorts of different things. It can be beliefs. It can literally be what's called thought forms. And that's one of the reasons why times have been so turbulent, because there's more and more light coming to the planet that is disrupting a lot of different energies and frequencies. And I'm not going to go into a lot of details about the disruption, but the idea is that if you talk to astrologers, they would tell you, yeah, it's been in the stars and the planets. We've known it. We've been trying to warn people more in the sense of buckle up. We're living in very unusual times. And then a lot of intuitives have also been getting hits about the times that we're living in. So after I went and saw that all of a sudden there is a need to upgrade the Guardians, I kind of sat with that, because, that pesky old lifetime in Atlantis where I was persecuted for the information I was bringing forth. I have, some past life flashbacks, and sometimes, because I'm human, I get very anxious about reaching out and sharing some of the things that I'm seeing, because I always want to be positive and loving and empowering to people, and I never want to scare anyone. I don't fundamentally believe in fear, although I acknowledge fear because I believe that fear is an illusion and it's a control mechanism. But I'm mindful that people are afraid, so I never want to add to that. So I sat with the information for a little while, and I asked questions like, am I supposed to? Well, my first reaction was, how am I possibly going to clear everybody's house? How am I possibly going to clear everyone's house and bring in the new guides and guardians? And then I asked the question, can I be shown a really simple way to do this so that I can teach as many people as possible how to do it, and for it to be as effective as if I had gone in and with my extra sensory perception seen all the different pieces? And I was told absolutely and shown how to do it. So that is getting us closer to this moment in time. What I will say, as I've continued to clear, what I've been seeing is something really amazing. And the way that I want to describe it is, I personally believe everything that has been imagined is real. And it's real in some time, space, or dimension. And what that means is a lot of things from fairy tales and folklore, I personally believe are real in some space, time, and dimension. And for me, my whole concept of spirituality actually began when I was 10 and I read the Chronicles of Narnia and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I thought, oh, okay, that's what it is, that there are all these parallel worlds. And we can go to these parallel worlds. C.S. Lewis said that we could go through a wardrobe, and that was the portal to these worlds. So that made sense to me. What I'm now seeing is that all of these worlds are activating on Earth, which I think is really exciting. And what that means is that there are more and more higher dimensional, so higher consciousness, higher intelligence, benevolent beings of light who are coming to assist us. And the way that I'll give you a quick little antidote about that is, I was clearing a large commercial property. The commercial property had land. I brought in the new guardian, and then I always ask to clear what needs the most attention. So I was shown that there was a toxic waste dumping ground on the perimeter of the property. So it wasn't the owner who had improperly disposed of the waste. It was a neighboring site. So then what I did was I called in the most appropriate beings of light who are light at their core to come in and help me, because I never do anything myself. I always get the subject matter expert, and I don't even need to know who the subject matter expert is. I just say the essentially most qualified being of light who is light at their core. And what happened was, and again, okay, disclaimer alert. What happened was 2 giants manifested. So we're talking Norse mythology giants, which is very interesting because I spent the winter studying Norse mythology and the creation myths, and which these creation myths relate to some of the work that we're going to be doing. So I saw the 2 giants, one on either side. They kind of came on either side, and I thought, oh, so giants are real. That's how it happens. I see something and then I say, oh, so that's real. So didn't know, was open to the idea, oh, so giants are real. So then I asked the giants, what do I need to do? And they told me that I needed to plant a forest. So what I did, because everything begins here, this is a broadcaster and a receiver. So I utilize my imagination and I'm remote viewing. So I've astral projected myself to that property and I'm standing on the grass in the quantum field. So in this quantum field, I'm on the grass and then I'm visualizing planting the trees. And as I visualize planting the trees, quantum or etheric astral energy of the trees starts to appear. And this is seconds. I'm not there for hours in trance planting trees and growing trees. I'm just having the visualization of the trees. It happens in seconds. Once there is a wall of trees and essentially a forest of trees, then the giants came and energized the trees. And what they did was they woke up the elemental kingdom. So cue in the fairies and the pixies. So those guys are real too. So the elemental kingdom, the hidden kingdom of the fairies, etc., started to clear the dis-ease within the land. And that's when I knew something really significant and wonderful is happening right now, in spite of the fact that it probably feels like lots of terrible things are happening. And I'm not saying that they're not. And I'm saying we can do something. We can do many somethings. But one of the many things that we can do at this moment in time is to help bring in as many higher dimensional, more qualified guardians to come and help our spaces. And when we call them into the home, we're calling them into the land. And when we do these intentions and these visualizations, we're creating these landscapes in the quantum and in our physical reality, our physical dimension that is higher frequency. So if we are able to anchor more light, higher frequency, there's a counterbalance that's able to happen. So I feel like right now, we might feel like there's a tidal wave that keeps trying to pull us down, which is why we need to create a counterbalance, ground our energy and anchor in more light. And then what's going to happen is the energies, these heavy, dense energies, they're going to start to shift. And over a period of time, the frequencies are going to ascend. So I know I've said this is the best comment ever. Totally makes sense, or makes total sense. And I was going to ask, does anyone have any questions? Because it may not make sense to people, and also it might also be blowing your mind, and you might also think, why the hell am I here? Because I didn't sign up for giants and fairies. And you signed up for other things too, but okay. I will trust that. Well, what I will say, a couple of things. I know that there's people that haven't taken any classes. There are people that might have a different belief system. There are people that are interested, but maybe don't have any intuitive experience. What I would say is, I'm inviting you not to be intimidated to ask a question, because, we're birthing in Atlantis, and each of you are an essential note. So there is no hierarchy here. If you have a question, then please ask it. But you'll have to raise your hand so that I don't miss it. Yeah, so I love the idea that the elemental kingdom and other kingdoms are waking up to assist us. So this is I personally believe, and my guidance is this, and this is so exciting. This is the most significant time in the history of the earth. And I just got chills when I said that. And as such, another thing that might blow everyone's mind is, you on a soul level knew what this time is going to be, and you signed up for it. And not only did you sign up for it, you signed up to help the planet, to help humanity, and that's why you're here, which I think is really exciting and beautiful. So what we're going to do tonight is we're essentially going to learn how to retire the guardians in our homes and invite in new energies. The way that I am conceptualizing, or the way that I've clairvoyantly experienced these new guardians, is if you think about a lava lamp, and when the lava heats up, it becomes a sphere that morphs and is amorphic. Sorry, when I do energy work, the animals all need to come in because, elemental kingdom. So it's an amorphic shape, and they have a lot of color to them. So the way that I see it is the colors, it's like you can see all the different layers of colors, and the colors are different depending on what the space is. I don't know precisely what the colors mean yet. In general, I have a color code that correlates to angelic energy. So it could be related to these angelic energies. So different colors are different frequencies, and that tells me like themes of what angels are here and why they're here. So but since they're higher frequency, that's a whole new map or language that I've been able to really explore, because the way that we perceive color and light and frequencies really depends on how much light we're holding. And the reason why I'm saying this to you is because if anyone does have a clairvoyant experience this evening, so if you see any colors, because we will be calling in angelic energies. Angelic energies, I perceive them as spheres of light that are colors. But what I have learned is that my color mapping doesn't mean that it's going to be what you perceive or what other angel experts perceive. And there's no wrong answer. It's all a matter of frequency. So my blue might be your yellow, and they're both right. Okay, so these new guardians are shapes, they're layers of color, and there is telepathic communication, so it's mind to mind. You might get a sense of words or feelings, and again, if this is your first time, don't worry, we're just going to follow the instructions. We're going to do this and this and this, and because we've done those things, then what we intended will manifest. I'm just going to take a look. That's a great question. So wanting to know if we can work with the guardian of our homes, or do they only work with the energy of our home? That's my understanding, is that, sorry, the guardians are essentially, it's more than your home, but it's like, it's their job is to create and preserve the sacred space of your home, and to preserve the sacred space, or restore the sacred space of the earth. But I would also say that it's definitely worth meditating with the guardians of the home and interviewing them, asking more questions, because they're from a much higher dimension. And whatever this dimension is, angels are 11th dimensional energies. We right now are we can be multi-dimensional. Many people are in the third dimension, ascending to the fourth dimension, and all of the planet by 2032 will be in the fifth dimension. So angels are 11th dimensional beings, and these new energies are significantly higher dimensions. And I haven't experienced these energies before until like over the last couple of weeks. So there's definitely wisdom to learn from them. So let me see, what else is it? So one thing I want to talk about before we get started is this idea of intention. So the idea is that an intention is like a declaration of the mind. If I am intending to support the guardian of my home, retire the guardian of my home, and then call in a higher dimensional energy, because that is my intention, it is manifested. Because all of our thoughts have energy, and all energy manifests. So that's why, for those that are kind of new to this way of thinking, one of the reasons why we know that there are such things as past lives, and that we know that we can actually connect to the consciousness of loved ones who have passed, is because energy never dies. And we're all energy. It changes forms. It doesn't cease to exist. So all thoughts have energy, and all energy manifests. So if our intention is to do this work, yeah, absolutely do it for your workspace, do it for as many spaces as possible. This is something, just like a general rule of on a spiritual concept of free will. The spiritual concept of free will is that it is important to never do anything without permission. So if thank you, Melissa, for for asking that question. So the idea is that we have to always ask permission. So like, for instance, you might have a sense of panic like I did in, I have to clear everybody's homes immediately. What I'm suggesting is, if it resonates with you, and you know it may resonate with someone else, share all the material, they can follow along. If you know that it won't resonate with them, but you feel it's important to bring in the guardians, which I think it is, which is why I'm doing this, then you might ask, hey, would you mind if I did some energy work on your home? Yes, no. When it comes to work, you might think about it in terms of like just your immediate space, and just asking, do I have permission to clear my immediate space? And what you can also do is create what's called an etheric chamber. So by setting an intention that, like, say you work in an open concept office, your desk or cube, that could be the space where you're anchoring in light. But the idea, I believe that it's really important to bring in these energies now. And what we're essentially doing right now is we're going to be anchoring 5D energy into our homes. So what that means is that regardless of what's going on the outside, when we walk into our home, and the homes that we share possibly with loved ones or animals, plants, crystals, etc., this is preserved as a high frequency fifth dimensional space, period. So whatever's going on the outside world, whatever we may hear or watch on the news, we're keeping the vibes in our space high. And what's also happening is then, when we're in the sleep state, which is when we're vulnerable to energies and influence and this thing called the collective consciousness. So the collective consciousness, which I go into some detail in the handout. It's this idea of really a hive mind. So our unconscious mind is responding to signals whether or not we're aware of it. And in the sleep state, we become very attuned to whatever the broadcast is. Um, and that's, sometimes that's why we have nightmares, because there might be some fear in the collective that we then latch on to the energy, and then it starts to inform whatever our dreams might be. So if we're keeping our space fifth dimensional, then we're creating this like layer of protection so we can just rest. That's a great question. So does this need to be done again? So essentially what I'm recommending is people start to pay attention to vibes. So when you do it, it is not done in perpetuity because everything affects everything. But it isn't the type of thing that you have to do all the time. So it might be something that you do once a year. You might, if there's a lot going on in your home, you might feel like you have to do it more frequently. A lot of the clearing can just be topical, just using smudging verbs. But in terms of my home, I essentially I brought in my new guardian, but I don't really have to clear it because I have a lot of mechanisms in my house that are self-clearing. So if you get my newsletter, I gave you like all of my greatest hits, and some of them are expensive, like not outrageous, but maybe something that you would save for. But those items, particularly the Soma Vedic, works really well to keep the energy high frequency, because the Soma Vedic clears geopathic stress, EMFs, and it restructures water. So if like you could only get one thing, I think that would be the one thing to get. But I like to layer things. So yes, unless you intentionally do things to keep the energy of your home high vibrational. Plants keep the energy up high, crystals keep the energy up high, animals keep the energy up high. It's SOMAVEDIC, and it's in the newsletter, and it's linked. Yep, thank you. That's right. Okay. So, any questions before we get started? Fabulous. What's Matilda's question? So the question is, do you ever find it difficult to connect? That's a great question. So this is why I have so many devices in my home now, because I personally think that's what I shared in my newsletter. The more the more light I hold in my body, the higher frequency I have. The higher frequency I have, the more that I'm tuned in to higher consciousness. The more I'm tuned into higher consciousness, the more sensitive I become. The more sensitive I become, the more I can have energetic interference in terms of, like, my sensitivities are about electronics. So I have a lot of electromagnetic sensitivities, because the more that I work, the more sensitive I become. So if I'm having a difficult time connecting, it is most likely because of these other forms of interference. So if you're having a hard time connecting, what you need to do is ground your energy more. And if you're unable to connect, then you might want to think about, is it your field? And what is your field filled with? So, like I said tonight, we're going to go through all of the different intuitive pieces, but you don't have to worry about connecting. If you can't connect, it's not a problem, because our intention is that we're doing the thing. So I'm gonna lead you through a meditation. You can meditate, you can feel things, you can get distracted. It doesn't even matter. It's just to give you the experience, and if you have the experience, you might notice that you're seeing, feeling, knowing things. And it's an amplification, and there's, a significant amount of us that are going to be doing it together, so that's going to amplify on the quantum field. So without further ado, we're going to begin. And what I would like to invite you all to do is to get comfortable. And again, I'm just guiding you through the intuitive practice, but I will be saying different prompts. And with those different prompts, if you're having just a one-dimensional experience, that's completely fine. So what we're going to begin is opening up our energetic bodies, our light bodies, our subtle bodies. And we do that through meditation. Meditation is the mechanism, and that's the mechanism to ground your energy, to open your energy, to clear your energy, to expand your energy and your intuition. And we're going to begin to connect to the body through the breath. With intention, we're going to be receiving breath, drawing in breath through the nose, setting the intention that we are receiving the highest frequency of light available. And if you are able to, you're going to use your imagination, and you're going to see that beautiful white light, clear, sparkling white light, the most beautiful light imaginable. And you're going to draw it into your body. You're drawing it in through the nose, but it's a full body experience. Every cell is breathing in this light. And on the exhale, we're going to set the intention that you are releasing what doesn't belong to you, what no longer serves you. And we're going to intend or imagine that it is released from your body like a gray cloud that is magnetically pulled out of your spaces into the sky, out of the Earth's atmosphere, magnetically pulled into the universe. And we set the intention that the universe has a ceiling, and the ceiling is light. So when we release, everything that we're releasing is going to this light. Some people know this as source, or all that is. So we're setting the intention that everything that is being released is going to the light to be alchemized. Alchemy is a form of transmutation. You take one form, you send it through a mechanism that then creates a new form, a higher form. So we're transmuting through light, and we're transmuting it across all timelines, all space, all realities, all planets, all cosmos, and the void. Returning that energy, upcycling that energy as light. So we're breathing in light, we're exhaling shadow, we're sending it up to light, it comes back down to us as light. We set the intention that our entire body is being filled with light. We imagine, we feel that every cell in our body is being illuminated with light. And now we're going to begin to connect to our light body system, which is known as the chakras. Some of you may be familiar with the 7 embodied chakras. They're essentially a rainbow. For others, it might be brand new. If you have never worked with the chakras, or if you have worked faithfully, either way, we're going to connect to the fifth dimensional ascended frequencies of the chakras. So there are different colors, their energy governs different aspects of our lives, and there are different angels associated with it. When you say the name of an angel, either out loud or in your head, their energy immediately manifests. That instant, even before you finish the thought, the energy is with you. And the angel is the mechanism for the miracle. The angel is evoked by your thought or your word, and then your instructions or programming is the task at hand. And then either your faith or and your imagination and your trust then makes the miracle. So when we're invoking angels, I will say their name, I will articulate what the ask is, I'll describe where it is, what the color is, what the energy is of it. If you're able to connect to any of it, if you can see it, if you can reimagine what the colors are, fabulous. And if you can't, doesn't matter, because all thoughts have energy and all energy manifests. So by virtue of being here, you're doing the thing that we're saying. So with intention, we invoke Archangel Sandalphon, asking Sandalphon to anchor your Earth Star chakra. The Earth Star chakra is 2 feet below your feet. I personally believe and perceive that 2 feet begins from the surface of the earth and it goes into the earth, meaning I'm right now in the second level of my home. My Earth Star chakra, when I activate it, is 2 feet below the foundation of my home. It activates in the earth itself. Invoking Archangel Sandalphon, asking Sandalphon to anchor and activate the Earth Star chakra. This may appear black and white or silver. The activation of the chakra connects you to your divine potential. Setting the intention to invoke Archangel Gabriel, asking Gabriel to anchor and activate your fifth dimensional base chakra, also known as the root chakra. This is at the base of the spine. It appears as a beautiful, radiant, shimmering platinum energy. The activation of the chakra enables you to live life trusting the universe, trusting this great, powerful force, trusting that the universe is always conspiring to answer your thoughts, your prayers, which is why it's important to keep yourself high-minded, because all energy manifests. We're going to continue to work with Gabriel, asking Gabriel to ascend the sacral chakra between your hips. This appears as a transcendent pink, enabling you to bring healing to all your relationships. We ask Gabriel to activate your navel chakra. This will appear as a glowing orange sphere, connecting your physical body, your light body, to the great central sun known as Helios. The great central sun helps to anchor the divine masculine. So all humans need the balance of divine masculine and divine feminine. The masculine energy is the action, the feminine energy is the imagination. If you have all imagination but no action, then you're not able to manifest the things that you desire. If there is all action and no imagination, then a lot of wisdom, beauty, grace, and soulfulness doesn't have space to manifest. This glowing orange navel chakra was online during the time of Atlantis, the time of Lemuria. And this glowing orange chakra is welcoming. So it is an energy that welcomes, invites all sentient beings, recognizing the family of our sentience. So again, sentience is in all life forms, which means the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom. This chakra recognizes all of these beings as family. And when enough people on the planet have the navel chakra activated, we will start to see these spiritual communities forming, these golden cities that I talked about. We invoke Archangel Uriel, asking Uriel to ascend your solar plexus. This is at the diaphragm. We're ascending to the fifth dimensional golden shimmering light. This will support your confidence and wisdom and will help dissolve any fear that may be in your field. Invoking Archangel Chamuel, asking Chamuel to ascend your heart chakra, imagining a pure white 33 petal rose. This frequency helps love flow through you and to you, bringing in that energy of unconditional love for self, for family, friends, co-workers, for the world, and bringing that energy of unconditional love back to you so that the outside world mirrors the unconditional love flowing through you. We invoke Archangel Michael, asking Michael to ascend the throat chakra to a shining royal blue. This will support you in always speaking and acting with integrity, saying what you truly believe. Invoking Raphael, asking to ascend your third eye, the brow chakra, to its 5D frequency. This looks literally like a crystal ball filled with green lights. And ascending it and activating helps switch on your clairvoyance, your clear seeing. This may come as images in the mind, in the dream state, like you're watching a movie perhaps. This helps anchor enlightenment, removing veils of illusion and delusion. With intention, we evoke Archangel Jophiel, asking Jophiel to ignite your ascended crown chakra at the top of your head. This appears as 1,000 crystal clear flower petals. Activating the 5D crown chakra opens you up to subpersonal ascension chakras. So this means chakras that exist outside of the body. And ascension chakras mean chakras that you only have access to, that only come online when you are in this path of expanding your awareness, raising your frequency. This 1,000 crystal clear petals, what I've observed is that those 1,000 petals and how they form are unique to each person. So it literally looks like a headdress or a crown that comes in, and it is your unique signature antenna that brings all of your upper chakras into harmony of one another. Now we're going to invoke Kristal, asking to activate what's known as the causal vortex, which is above and slightly behind the head. This energy is like your own personal moon, appearing milky white. Its activation connects you to the Earth's moon and the divine feminine, enabling you to connect to higher dimensional beings, enabling you to connect deeper to your own intuition, your own imagination. We're now invoking Mariel, asking Mariel to activate the soul star chakra. This is roughly 1.5 feet above the head. The chakra appears magenta, and it helps to align you with your higher self, enabling you to access all of your soul wisdom across all lifetimes. So the higher self is like a communication field. When we are in alignment, we can receive all of the wisdom, all of the teachings of everything we've ever been at any moment in time, because time is actually a construct. There is no linear sense of time. It happens simultaneously. So if you think of a sphere, we can enter the sphere at any point, and we can gather the information across any timeline. With intention, we invoke Metatron, who is guiding the ascension process, asking to activate your Stella Gateway. This appears like a golden orange chalice 2 feet above your head. So the chalice is what is known as the Holy Grail. This chalice, we place the symbol 2 feet above our head, and it helps attract and direct all of the ascension frequency, all of the esoteric wisdom and knowledge available in the cosmos and the universe. It helps direct and harness all of the photonic light available at this time on Earth. So we set the intention that the highest frequency of light available to you at this moment in time flows into the chalice, which overflows and cascades down. It cascades down and saturates and fills every single chakra, flowing into the soul star, flowing into the causal, into the crown, into the brow, into the throat, into the heart, flowing down to the diaphragm, the solar plexus, down to the hips, to the sacral, down to the base of the spine, down to the earth star chakra below your feet. And we send it down, down, down to the core of the earth. And as we do this, this is an act of service. We are anchoring the highest frequency of life, giving it to the earth, to Gaia, Pachamama, Mother Earth. And she responds by amplifying the golden light of the earth, the life force energy, the chi energy of the earth, which is then pulled into your body through the soles of your feet, and it floods every cell in the body, rising up to the root, up to the sacral, up to the solar plexus, up to the heart, up to the throat, flowing to the brow, to the crown, and then reaching out your aura, your invisible force field, flowing into the causal, soul star, stellar gateway. So we have ascended all of our chakras. We are in flow of the earth and the cosmos. And now we drop into the heart space, the space of our infinite knowing, the space of our infinite awareness. And we ask that our psychic abilities be activated. And everything that has been spoken has been made manifest. And if we're not able to experience it, we trust nevertheless. And from the heart space, we now set the intention to connect to the guardian of your home. You don't need to astral project that you are outside of the home. You can ask the guardian to come to you wherever you are in your home. And again, we've set the intention. So because we have sent the intention, the guardian is appearing near us. And if you don't see, feel, the invitation is to trust. And we'll ask the question, are you the guardian of the space? Are you the guardian of the space? Are you the guardian of the space? So for any no's, and it can be a no that you could hear, sense, and if you are not sensing or hearing, I'm setting the intention, or I'm declaring that your gatekeeper, your personal bodyguard, is coming over and helping communicate with the energy. So any gatekeepers whose person received no, we're going to ask that they shift this energy away from their channel. And we're going to set the intention that the highest dimensional being of light, who is light at their core, most appropriate to take this energy wherever they need to go for their healing and highest good. Trusting that this is taking place. And once again, we ask to connect to the guardian, getting confirmation that everyone is connected to their guardians. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set the intention that we are calling in the highest available frequency of light to fill your home. So our intention is that if you have a basement, every single room, every single level, the attic, everything in the space, we'll extend it out to your property lines. Everything is filled with white light. This light goes deep into the earth, it goes deep into the sky. And because we have set the intention, it is so. Now we're just going to take a moment and we're going to thank the guardian of your space for the protection, for the guidance that they have provided. Sending love and deep gratitude. These guardians have been on the earth possibly much longer than the age of your home. And now we're going to invoke the most appropriate being of light that is light at their core to assist in retiring the guardian, guiding the guardian to the most appropriate time and place for their ascension. And as it is spoken, so mote it be, trusting that the guardian has left. And now we're going to call in the archangels of the horizontal and vertical planes. We call them in to create a portal, a birth canal of sorts for the new higher frequency guardian, most appropriate to be in the home, on the earth, working, protecting all the sentient beings in the home. So with intention, we connect to Archangel Raphael of the East, whose symbol is a crystal wand adorned with a golden caduceus. Those are the two intertwined golden snakes. That is the symbol for, I believe, pharmaceutical or general health and healing. So this is a crystal wand with a golden caduceus and a moldavite crystal. So that is a deep dark green crystal that actually is from a meteorite that fell to the earth. Moldavite that is shaped like a pine cone. So the alchemical element of Archangel Raphael of the East is divine emerald green fire. So our intention is that all of the home and the property facing east is now inflamed with this beautiful divine emerald green fire. We may see the wand, the symbol, in the center of this wall of fire. This fire extends below the earth, up through the sky, past the roof line. And now we move to the north, invoking Archangel Michael of the North, whose symbol is a sword of light and fire, and whose alchemical element is divine sapphire blue fire. If you are able to see or imagine, we see that all along the north of your home and property line, there is divine sapphire blue and a sword of light inflamed with fire. We invoke Archangel Gabriel of the West, whose symbol is a silver chalice and whose alchemical element is divine platinum white fire. And once again, a wall of platinum white fire is to the west of your property. We see the chalice. And now we turn and evoke Archangel Uriel of the North. Uriel's symbol is a golden pentacle, and Uriel's element is divine ruby red fire. So in the mind's eye, with our intention, we have a wall of green fire into blue fire, into white fire, into red fire. And now we call in the energies of the vertical plane, calling in Archangel Metatron of Kether. Kether is all that is source, is what exists beyond linear human consciousness. Metatron is the keeper of the Akashic records and the keeper of the tree of life. Metatron directs all of the light of the universe down to the planet, to the body, to the home. Metatron's symbol is a golden crown and a golden throne. and his element is ether. We evoke Archangel Sandalphon of Malkuth, of the earth. Sandalphon is the other keeper of the tree of life. So if you think of the Kabbalah or Hermetic philosophy, the idea is that the top of the tree of life is everything that exists beyond our linear human consciousness. It is the divine. That is Kether, and the bottom is the trunk, and that is Metatron's domain. So Metatron directs all of the wisdom, all of the beauty, all of the enlightenment from the universe down into the physical plane, evenly distributing the light across every sentient being, evenly distributing it to every plane. His symbol is a pair of leather sandals, and his element is earth. And we ask that this space, these individuals, this circle are protected. And we set the intention that all of the energy is manifesting, bringing in the most appropriate being of light who is light at their core, to be the guardian of your home. As we call all these energies in, we have initiated and created a portal of energy. This portal of energy, going back, taking a cue again from Norse mythology, this portal of energy is a combination of fire and ice. So from a great void comes fire and ice, and it may literally look like a ring of fire and a ring of ice. And from this portal, there is now an amorphic shape of color that moves from this great void, manifesting into your space. You may see the guardian, you may get a sense of colors, you may know colors, you may ask, what are the colors of my guardian? Trusting whatever you hear, see, know, feel. And now we're going to set an intention to connect to the guardian. So even if you can't see them, even if you feel like you're really lost, trust that you are right with us, that your guardian has emerged in your home because it is so. These words are a powerful invocation. And now we're going to connect with the guardian, asking them, dedicating a certain intention. You may want to add to this, but we begin by inviting, dear guardian, thank you for coming to protect and offer guidance for this space so that all sentient beings that dwell or visit may be held in fifth dimensional or higher frequencies when in this home, in this space. Thank you, and so mote it be. So when and if you would like to connect to clear your home in the future, this is the guardian that you will be connecting to. But for tonight, we're going to set an intention to work with very specific energies, and because it is spoken, it is so. So with intention, we are invoking the cosmic diamond violet flame, an immensely powerful tool of transmutation that is available to all. There is a precision of light of this fire that can dissolve the densest frequencies, raising the entire energy of the home, of the land, to 5D or higher. And what you may want to do is you may want to set the intention that as you call in this light, that it's being sent through telephone lines, or you may want to set an intention that the electricity in your home, that it's being cleared with this cosmic diamond violet flame. So we're holding the intention that every single room, beginning with our foundation, going room by room, you might want to visualize it, you might want to name it in your head, all being cleared to the brilliance of a diamond, and that all the energy that is being transmuted across all timelines, all space, all dimensions, all realities, all planets, all cosmos, and the void. And again, just holding the intention. If you can't visualize it, you can just name it in your head, that the cosmic diamond violet flame is clearing. Setting an intention that it's going into every single electrical outlet into your home, and it's flowing out. So energy flows into the home, and what we're doing is we're clearing the energy that's flowing in, and we're also sending the violet flame out to clear the energy. And now with intentions, in addition to giants and fairies, dragons are also real. So we're going to begin by working with the elemental energies of dragons. With intention, we invoke the earth dragons, asking the earth dragons to clear away any lower energies around your home and within the ley lines around your home. So ley lines are energy channels that flow across the entire earth. The earth has a chakra system just like the human body because the earth is sentient. So these ley lines connect all of the energy of the earth, all of the chakras. And many civilizations understand this, governments understand this. If you look at a map of DC, it's literally, the streets are shaped like a pentagram because all of the government buildings are intentionally put on ley lines. Also, for those of you that are in London, if you look at the ley line of London, it actually forms a pyramid that is overlaid in the city, across the city. So the reason why I'm giving you a little bit more detail here is because people have put magic into the ley lines, and this magic has been dissolving for years. When I lived in London, there were a lot of there was a massive fire. There was also several terrorist activities. And when I mapped out where these events were, they all fell within the ley lines. And my understanding was that these ley lines, all of the magic was being cleared. So magic is neutral. It can become white magic or black magic depending on the intention. And so essentially the magic had turned to black magic, and that was a force. So when we call in the earth dragons, asking them to clear any lower energies around the home and around the ley lines, we're transmuting anything that is there. It can be ancient energy. It can be energy that is, there could be blockages to the flow of energy, because essentially we want all of the energy across the entire globe in terms of the natural energy to flow into our homes, into the earth, flowing into our bodies. Now, with intention, we're invoking the air dragons, asking them to fly through your home, blowing away any lower energies, setting the intention that all energies are magnetically pulled to whatever time, space, dimension, reality that they need for their healing and highest good. We invoke Archangel Christiel, emissary of Christ consciousness, and we ask that your space be filled with Christ light. So Christ light, the idea of Christ consciousness, is essentially the frequencies of unconditional love and unconditional compassion. So we're imagining that the space is filling with Christ light. And for me, it looks like beautiful, beautiful sunlight, beautiful streams of golden light flowing through each room. And once again, we're just going to hold the intention, you might name it. Every room filled with Christ light. We invoke Archangel Michael, leader of the Legion of Light, and we ask to protect your space, imagining enormous angels or declaring that the Legion of Light encircle your space. So if you are able to imagine, you imagine that beings of light, winged figures of light that are so enormous that they can surround your home, your property. We imagine these energies growing and their wings expanding to create a dome of light above you. And then we set the intention, as above, so below, as within, so without, and so it is. And then this creates a sphere of angelic light surrounding your home. We set the intention that the angelic light integrates with the sapphire blue frequency of Michael. So the reason why we're bringing in that white light is because light is every single person and every single sentient being responds to light and the vibe of light, whether they're conscious or not. So this is because this is your home, we want your home to be peaceful and private. So when we bring in that dark sapphire blue, it masks the light. So the frequency and the vibrancy is there, but we just want it to almost be, it's almost like an invisibility cloak. So with intention, we now invoke Archangel Sandalphon, asking Sandalphon to place a fifth dimensional bubble over anyone who enters your home. So I suggest that you take a moment and you name the entry points of your home: front door, side door, back door, garage, whatever it may be. And you set an intention that at the entryway, Sandalphon will place a fifth dimensional bubble. So whomever enters your space, whatever dimension or frequency their field is in, it is not going to disrupt the vibe of your space. It's protection, and it will dissolve as soon as they leave your home. And each person will feel all the better for this being in this energy and frequency. If possible, we can amplify by literally imagining the person being invited into your space and placed in that bubble. And now we invoke the water dragons, asking them to flow into every room. So we've brought in that Christ light. Now we want to bring in the flow. And we're going to set the intention that all of the high frequency energies available in the earth, so those awakening elemental energies, all of the energies of the cosmos, all of the energies of these higher dimensional beings of light, those vibes, that beauty, that radiance is flowing into the home. Now we invoke the fire dragons, asking them to place an etheric wall of fire around your property line. So what we're doing, it's like we're creating an energetic fortress. So anything on the perimeters, whatever the vibe is, the negativity, whatever's going in on the home, whatever's going on in the land, we're preserving it. So the fire dragons are placing fire that then contains all these beautiful vibes that we've created in the space. And again, you might just set an intention. You might want to just say left, front, right, back, to just have a placement. And now we're going to imagine asking the dragons to place a second layer of etheric fire. We're just going to wall it just outside of your home. So it's your property and then another kind of fortress right around your home. We're going to imagine or set the intention that these walls of fire are 2 miles or 3 kilometers deep into the earth and up into the sky. And now we're going to invoke the unicorns. We're going to imagine that a spiral of unicorns, a spiral of beautiful white light descends from the sky. And we're going to ask them to pour blessings into the space, holding the energy of the space in the 5th dimension or higher. So we're going to imagine or set the intention that as the unicorns come down from their dimension onto the earth, we're going to imagine that they're surrounding the home, surrounding your property line, and they are bowing and directing their horn to the foundation of your home or to the perimeter of your property. And this is going to ignite a flash of blinding diamond light. And with it, it's as if a spell is broken. So the place, the earth around it, ourselves begin to remember. We begin to remember this beautiful earth, our connection to all sentient beings. We begin to connect to our intuition, to a vision of beauty, of joy, to the wisdom of our soul, to the understanding of so many mysteries in life. Now, with intention, we're going to give thanks to the earth, to the air, to the wind, and the fire dragons, giving thanks to Chris and Michael and Sandalphon, giving thanks to the unicorns, giving thanks to your new guide, giving thanks to Metatron, Sandalphon, Uriel, Gabriel, Michael, and Raphael, who assisted in anchoring the new guardian into your space. And so it is. Trusting that your intentions have manifested. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes, beginning to come back. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask questions. And if you would like to go to sleep, you are welcome to just hang up and questions will be answered and you can watch the video later. But as you're coming back, I would like to just say a couple of things before people jump off. One is, again, you're welcome to share the video. You're welcome to share the handouts, typos, and all. And I offer this to as many people as possible. So I thank you for your energy exchange this evening in terms of compensation. And I also want to welcome you to share it with whomever you would like to. And also, you're also welcome to teach this too. So I saw all those faces, Marcy. So please share. As I said, this is for everyone. I am a grateful channel of this information, but I am not the creator nor keeper of this information. And then the other thing that I would say is, I did want to say that if you have enjoyed this evening, I would invite you to consider joining me through my Patreon channel. And the Patreon channel, you can find it on the website. The idea is that anything virtual that I teach is now going to be through Patreon. And I'm going to, at a minimum, do a meditation every month and a workshop every month. And I will likely do more because when when I'm getting hits of things to do or teach or share, that's where I'm going to be giving the information. The reason why I'm doing it there is because I want it to go to as many different people as possible. And the reason why I'm doing it there versus some of the other social media channels is because the frequency of social media is something that does not resonate with me. And I am proactively trying to get out of Meta and into the real world. So the energy of Patreon feels good because it's a creator's platform. So that's where this will be if you want to discover it. And I've also said that as soon as there's some mass, what I'm going to do is drop what the subscriptions are. It's a monthly subscription, just so that it's available for as many people as possible. And I will also put free things on as well so that people can just grab information if they go to that site. So that is my infomercial. If anyone has any questions, now is your time to answer. Now's your time to answer your questions. I'll tell you if you got it right or wrong. I wish I had a buzzer. Wrong answer. Any questions other than what just happened and what we just did? Yeah, someone wrote that this was very timely. It is very timely, which is why we did it. So it is very timely. I personally had a sense of urgency that we needed to do it tonight. And what I also discovered earlier today, that this date, because of numerological information, that this date is a time when we can access what's called the 0 point. And the 0 point, it's like, it is a realm. It's the beginning of all things. And when I look at it, it's like a mirrored reflection of the ocean and the sky. And actually, what movie was, oh, the new Marvel movie, Thor, Love and Thunder, they have a visualization of 0 point literally in the film, which I think is totally amazing. But basically, this is a 0 point. So when we do any type of energy work, we're able to kind of instantaneously clear all timelines. So it's effortless. And that's part of what we were doing. So, which is pretty awesome that we did it today. Any question? Okay. If you have questions, or if you have things that you would like to, yeah. And for those in London or other countries who fell asleep, don't worry about it because you set the intention. So all of it happened. And I'm happy that you can feel it. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I probably will not email a very long response back because, I got a lot of things I got to do. But what I'll do is, if there's anything that you would specifically like to learn or explore, let me know. And I'll either set it up as another topic, or if I have the material, I'll email it to you. Okay, last call for questions. Let me just check the other page to make sure that no one's, oh, I'm sorry. Good thing. Yes, Melissa.
So I know you had started off with saying that it could be like, so I got like triangle, just a shape for my guardian. As you connect more or you do more space clearing and you ask questions of your guardian or become from like, do you get a sense that that will evolve, or, more intuitiveness with, I don't know, what you see in your imagination, or does that just come with whatever you have at the moment?
I mean, first of all, to me, it's sacred geometry. So that what you perceived, I think, is really amazing. So what my experience is, I don't connect to the guardian of my home that often. I do it, maybe once a year, every year and a half, because I keep the energy and the frequency high. So if there's an energetic disturbance, then I go and look. And P.S., there was something in my attic tonight as I was doing it. I was like, Brevin was right. There is something in the attic. So I cleared that out as we were working. But like, the reason why I'm saying that is that I personally don't even necessarily remember all the details of the guardian of my home from one visit to the next, because I just don't engage that often. Although one of the things, which I'm going to do another like meditation or talk, is that another awareness that I have is the need and importance of gratitude. So it might be the type of thing that in the space of gratitude, you might be intending to connect to the guardian, or lighting a candle in gratitude of the guardian of your home. So all things evolve and deepen with practice, with connection, is like the simple answer to your question. Anyone else? And if you can't find your virtual hand, or you don't want to use it, I don't blame you. If you want to use your real hand, you can raise your real hand and I'll quickly look. Oh, okay. Julia. Oh, no. You're just kissing. Sorry. Those hand motions are kisses. No questions. So if anyone would like to raise their real hand because they don't know how to find their virtual hand, or they're opposing use of their virtual hands because meta, I am with you. Okay. Good night, everybody. I hope you enjoy your new vibes. And like I said, feel free to share with anyone who is open to this. Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you all in person. And it was really great to see. There's a lot of faces I haven't seen in a while, so thank you so much.